her husband, the spiritual master of the universe, by fanning him as he relaxed on her bed. Purport: Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur poetically notes that in this chapter, Rukmini Devi is like fragrant camphor, crushed on the grinding stone of Lord Krishna's speech. Oh. In other words, the lovely, chaste qualities of Rukmini will become manifest as a result of Lord Krishna's apparently insensitive words, just as campher's fragrance becomes manifest when granules of camphor are crushed by a grinding stone. The Acharya further points out that Rukmini is personally serving the Lord because he is Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the universe, and Patim, her husband. Text 2. Yasva etal leelaya vishvam srajatyati avatishvarah sahi jatah svasetu nam gopi thaya yadushva ajah. The unborn personality of Godhead, the supreme controller who creates, maintains, and then devours this universe simply as his play, took birth among the Yadus to preserve his own laws. Purport: as stated in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharma the Swakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, religion is a law established by God. The word setu means a boundary or limit, as in the case of a dike. Earth is raised up on both sides of a river or canal so that the water will not deviate from its proper path. Similarly, God establishes laws so that people who follow them can peacefully progress along the path home back to Godhead. These laws, which are meant to guide human behavior, are called setu. Thus called setu. A further note on the word setu: earth that is raised up to separate agricultural fields or to form a causeway or bridge is also called setu. Thus, in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam uses the word setu to indicate the bridge Lord Ramachandra built to Sri Lanka. Since the laws of God act as a bridge to take us from material life to liberate spiritual life, this additional sense of the word setu certainly enriches its use here. Tasmin antargrihe brajan mukta dhama vilambina virajite vitanena deepair mani mayerapi mallika dhama vi pushpet dvirefa kulanadite jalarandhra pravishtaischa gopis chandramatho amalai parijata vanamoda vayuno dhyana shailina Dhupair agurujai rajan jala randra vinirgataihi payah fena nibhe shubhre paryanke kashiputame upatasthe sukhasinam jagat ishwaram patim. Queen Rukmini's quarters were extremely beautiful, boasting a canopy hung with brilliant string of pearls as well as effulgent jewels serving as lamps. Garlands of jasmine and other flowers hung here and there, attracting swarm of humming bees, and the spotless rays of the moon shone through the holes of the lattice windows. As aguru incense drifted out of the window holes, my dear king, the breeze wafting the scent of the Parijata grove carried the mood of a garden into the room. There the queen served her husband, the supreme lord of all the worlds, as he reclined upon an opulent pillow on her bed, which was as soft and white as the foam of milk. According to Srila Sridhara Swami, Rukmini's palace was quite famous then, as now, and these descriptions give a glimpse into its opulence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti adds that the word Amalaihi in this verse may also be read Arunaihi, which would indicate that when this pastime took place, the moon had just arisen, bathing the entire palace in beautiful ruddy moonshine. Valavyajanam adaya ratna dandam sakikarat tena vijayati devi upasam chakra ishwaram. From her maidservant's hand, the goddess Rukmini took the yak hair fan with a jeweled handle. Then she began to worship her master by fanning him. Her hand adorned with rings, bangles, and the chamara fan, Queen Rukmini looked resplendent standing near Lord Krishna. A jeweled ankle bell tinkled and a necklace glittered, reddened by the kunkuma from her breasts, which were covered by the end of her sari. On her hips, she wore a priceless belt. As he contemplated her, the goddess of fortune herself, who desires only him, Lord Krishna smiled. The Lord assumes various forms to enact his pastimes, and he was pleased that the form of the goddess of fortune had assumed was such suitable for her to serve as his consort. Her charming face was adorned with curling hair, earrings, a locket on her neck, and the nectar of a bright, happy smile. The Lord then spoke to her as follows. Srila Sridhara Swami has quoted an interesting verse spoken by Sri Parashara in the Vishnu Purana. Devatve devadeheyam manushyatve cha manushi Vishnur dehanurupam vai karoti eshatmanastanum. When the Lord appeared as a demigod, she, the goddess of fortune, takes the form of a demigoddess. And then he appears as a human being. She takes a human-like form. Thus the Lord, thus the body she assumes matches the one Lord Vishnu takes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti adds that as Lord Krishna is even more beautiful than the Lord of Vaikuntha, Lord Krishna's consort Rukmini is even more attractive than the goddess of fortune in the Vaikuntha world. Supreme Lord said, "My dear princess, you were sought after by many kings as powerful as the rulers of planets. They were all abundantly endowed with political influence, wealth, beauty, generosity, and physical strength. Since your brother and father offered you to them, why did you reject the king of Chedi and all those other suitors who stood before you maddened by Cupid? Why instead did you choose us, who are not at all your equal? Terrified of these kings, O lovely browed one, we took shelter in the ocean. We have become enemies of powerful men, and we practically abandoned our royal throne. O fine-browed lady, women are usually destined to suffer when they stay with men whose behavior is uncertain and who pursue a path not approved by society. We have no material possessions and we are dear to those who similarly have nothing. Therefore, O slender one, the wealthy hardly ever worship me. Yayoratma samam vittam janmaishwarya kritir bhavah tayor vivaho maitri cha nottama dhamayaho kvachit. Marriage and friendship are proper between two people who are equal in terms of their wealth, birth, influence, physical appearance, and capacity for good progeny, but never between a superior and an inferior. Vaidhadvyetadavijnaya tvaya dhirga samikshaya vrata vayam gunairhina bhikshubhihi shlagita muta. O Vaidarbhi, not being far-sighted, you didn't realize this, and therefore you chose us as your husband, even though we have no good qualities and are glorified only by deluded beggars. Now you should definitely accept a more suitable husband, a first-class man of the royal order who can help you achieve everything you want both in this life and next. Chaidyashal Vajarasanda Danta Vakradayo Nripaha Mamadvishanti Vamuru Rukmi Chapi Tavagraja. Kings like Shishupala, Shalva, Jarasandha, and Dantavakra all hate me, O beautiful thighed one, and so does your elder brother Rukmi. Tesham Virya Madandhanam Driptanam Smayanuttaye Anitasi Maya Bhadre Tejo Paharata Satam. It was to dispel the arrogance of these kings that I carried you away, my good woman, for they were blinded by the intoxication of power. My purpose was to curb the strength of the wicked. We care nothing for wives, children, and wealth, always satisfied within ourselves. We do not work for body and home, but like a light, we merely witness. So, Om Tat Sat Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading in a very, very interesting part of the Srimad Bhagavatam from the 10th canto. Rukmini is being teased by Krishna. So this is a very nice conversation between Rukmini and Krishna. And Krishna was thinking of having fun with his wife, Rukmini, by teasing her. He definitely has the privilege, like a husband has the privilege sometimes. And then the wife also jokes back and answers question in a similar way. And then they both enjoy it. And it sort of tightens their relationship. That even though you speak to me like this, I know what you mean. And here it is, a reply for you in similar lines. And then the husband also understands this, and they both, joke with each other and maybe pass some sarcastic comment, and even at their own weaknesses, at their strengths. And that is a type of an exchange which shows that I know you, you know me. And since we understand each other very well, right? Not that one is more perfect than the other, but we understand each other from where we are, who we are. And our respect for each other is not based on all these material things, but is actually based on the fact that I know you as a servant of Krishna. You know me as a servant of Krishna. And I am eager to achieve the goal of life, and you are eager to achieve the goal of life. In this way, these differences don't matter. But the more I know you and the more you know me, we both get our relationship very nicely cemented. This is the mood in which a very nicely related husband and wife may even interact. They may even do these things in front of somebody else. Often when I go sometimes to people's houses for lunch or something, then I see that the husband is blaming, oh, she doesn't do this. And then she says immediately, oh, he's like this, that's why this happens. And then they both laugh at each other and say, what about you doing this? And then they have a good, laugh along with me. So I am able to understand that the relationship is pretty good, that they can withstand something like this. So here also Krishna, lying down, he was enjoying his grihastha life. This is a very good scene that when a grihastha is having some sweet nothings spoken to his wife. And his wife is very busy serving him, Rukmini. You must recollect that how Rukmini was a very young girl when she was taken away by Krishna. And brought to Dwaraka for marriage. She was completely dedicated, a lover of Krishna, being Lakshmi herself. So she wrote to the Lord a love letter saying that if you don't come and take me, I may contemplate not existing here anymore. And I'll go and do tapasya, and I'll go and do everything that's necessary to attain you. Very great determination she had to attain Krishna. That is the type of determination one should have if he's a devotee. Although I am faced with the prospect of getting married to Sishupala, although my brother Rukmi is not with me, he's supporting. Although my father may want to be with me, he's afraid of his brother. And the situation is so bad that all of them have joined together and all of them are against you. But I am not going to give up. I am going to lay myself down at your feet. If you do not come and take me away, I am yours. What is the use of living? So seeing the desperate nature of Rukmini's letter, and knowing that Krishna also has heard about Rukmini, and he has also thought already of marrying her, he immediately got enthused and he came all the way and he took Rukmini. We know that. We did that last time reading. He took Rukmini. And now Rukmini is very happily settled in her house. And this is a huge palace. She is one of the most highest, highly respected principal queen in Dwaraka. Right? Rukmini. We have a beautiful temple in Los Angeles which Prabhupada named Rukmini Dwarakadish in Los Angeles. So we have Rukmini DD there. I'm thinking of those DDs. I had been there the last year. And it was so nice to take darshan there. Prabhupada's headquarters was also there. So very beautiful deity of Rukmini and Dwarkadish Krishna. So Rukmini is fanning the Lord, and her very beautiful form is described, Lakshmi. And Krishna is enjoying looking at her. And he is seeing that she is very nicely settled in service to him. And she has got everything that she wanted. And she's a very bold girl. But how much ever she was bold in writing to Krishna and getting him to come and getting kidnapped and then getting married to him after running away from the household and everything, in spite of all that, Rukmini was very, very submissive to Krishna. She's a little opposite to Satyabhama. Satyabhama is a real talkative person and easily gets jealous of somebody else. She got jealous of Rukmini getting Parijata flower, and she said, you should bring me also. Why did you give only to Rukmini? So she's argumentative, talkative, and Krishna is a little scared about keeping Satyabhama together. Also, you will see in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya's Jagadananda Pandit, Satyabhama came again, and there also the way Lord Chaitanya dealt with Jagadananda Pandit is a very wonderful Leela. And his affectionate dealings with Jagadananda Pandit reflect the same way Krishna had affectionate dealings with Satyabhama. And here you can see with Rukmini, she was very surrendered, very submissive, very different. So Gadadhar was Rukmini in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. And he was never doing anything against Lord Chaitanya. Was always very afraid I'll create a bad impression. No, I don't want to get a bad name and not speak this. Very safe, very cautious, very submissive, very surrendered. So Krishna wanted to tease her because she's like this, always submissive, always ready to serve. He wanted to just agitate her a little bit. And he wanted to see her a little angry. And then he could see more of her beauty. So this is a very deep Swakiya Rasa pastime. We've been hearing Parakiya Rasa, gopis and Krishna and the Ras Leela and everything. But this is a Swakiya Rasa pastime. And Krishna has started teasing Rukmini. This is very amazing. So he started telling her, why did you settle for somebody like me? I am not equal to you. You're from a very high class, kingly family. And you are, so beautiful. And you have a great clan behind you. You are, wonderful parentage. And all these great kings like Jarasandha, Dantavakra and all, who anyway hate me, they are also very wisely situated. I am, after all, a cowherd family, and I somehow assumed some leadership here. And my material qualifications, not really anything much. You somehow selected me. I think you might have made a mistake, and so he's trying to revoke and agitate her. So he has started asking her these type of questions. And he's saying certain things which are very interesting. And We care nothing for wives, children, and wealth, always satisfied within ourselves. We do not work for body and home, but like a light, we merely witness. He's trying to define who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but putting it in a very derisive, derogatory way. I actually came and took you away because you wrote to me, and I wanted to dispel the arrogance of these kings that I carried away, my good women. So these people, I did just something not to marry you and live with you and all that, but somehow it happened like that. But really speaking, now that I'm thinking back, I am wondering whether you did the proper thing, because I'm not able to give you everything that you may want, right? Uh, Please, he even goes to the extent of saying, please go and accept another husband, a first-class man of the royal order, who can help you achieve everything you want both in this life and in the next. So he's speaking very materialistically. And he's making a material estimation of himself. And he is painting on Rukmini that you need something more than this. You deserve something more than this. And therefore, why don't you accept another first-class husband? And I wouldn't mind, giving you up. Don't worry. It's just that I'm feeling it's very unequal, obviously. Somehow it happened and we got married, but I don't mind it. It's a very extreme thing to say. And he said it very seriously. So he's telling her to reconsider. I don't have any great qualities. And people who don't have any much money also, they only worship me. Janmaishwarya Shutashibhir Yedamana Mathapumar Naivar Hatim Abhidhatum Vai Twam Akinchana Gochara. Twam Akinchana Gochara. Those who have all these Janma Aishwarya Shutashri Yedamana Mathapumar, they become maddened. And they are mostly worshipping all the demigods and getting more of the material requirements. And why will they ever worship Krishna, who is not going to actually immediately bless you with his material things, but who is famous for blessing you with bhakti and pure devotion? So Krishna is mostly worshipped by people who don't have akinchana gochara, who have nothing with them. He is the property of those who have nothing material with them. Kunti Devi is saying, right? So here, that is being reflected by Krishna. He's saying, most of my followers, most of those who worship me are devotees. And they don't have any money. They don't have any wealth. They're mostly poor. They're mostly poor. And I belong to that class of people, cowherd people, and no much material sophistry. That is not there. But you are so sophisticated, you're so beautiful, so talented, everything. And you could have got some very good choices. Why did you choose me? So Krishna is teaching many things in this to all of us as devotees. That the opposite is true. Actually, all these things don't really matter for Krishna. Why? Because they are all material. And they are all temporary. Material and temporary. And really speaking, they don't last. They look very valuable in the material world when you lead a life of illusion, away from the reality, away from the truth. So that way it may be interesting, it may be, useful for some people that they should pursue material life. But Krishna, who has spoken the right opposite in Bhagavad Gita, he's speaking about attachment, he's speaking about possessions, he's speaking about how to be detached and how to achieve him who is the highest. And here Krishna is speaking like a materialistic person and suggesting that you accept another husband because you won't get great scope for enjoying materially with me. So, in other words, he's like estimating her to be a materialistic lady. And he's saying that you make a choice like this. So, these choices are always there in front of us, especially in Krishna consciousness when we come. We see that we can always pursue a very nice material life. We may be having a good job. We may be having good position in society. Janma Aishwarya Shrutashi. We may be having good birth. Everything is nice. So I'm not materially frustrated as of now. Why will I surrender to Krishna? Why will I give up all these things and take up Krishna consciousness? Unless you're a true seeker of the truth, you won't do it. You won't give up your good material situation and accept something like Krishna consciousness. Mostly 99% of the people don't do it. But Krishna is telling to his pure devotee, Lakshmi, Rukmini, why you're opting for me? You should enjoy life with some other good husband and have a good time. So this is exactly the choice that Maya gives us always. I mean, what is there in Krishna consciousness, that is not there in the outside world? Material life has got so many choices and so much exciting things happening. I'm so busy every day with so many different types of situations. And you want to narrow all that down into just some sadhana and some keep away from everybody and do things with a closed group of people who mostly don't know anything, who mostly don't have any great success in material life, and that's why they join up and become devotees. And amongst them you want to be. And you don't get any exposure to what's happening in the world, what's the latest in fashion, what's the latest in the news, what's the latest in science, what's the latest in technology, what's happening. None of these things you know. And you want to stick around in that bubble of yours and, say that I'm doing something. Why don't you take this very powerful illusion? Is there often in front of us. And a lot of us think that, well, I want both, this and that together. And we are struggling with both together because I'm in a good situation. I like to chant also. I know this makes sense to me, but so a lot of us embrace both and we struggle quite a bit internally, at least in the initial stages. And Krishna offers that, like he's offering to Rukmini, he's also offering it to us. And we grab it immediately and we forget Krishna, or we just do something on the side. In other words, our life becomes centered on our material ambitions and material enjoyment and everything. And Krishna is on the periphery. Like, every Sunday I go to the temple, I chant Hare Krishna, I, Kirtan Bhajan, my children eat prasadam, I don't have to cook at home. And it's very nice. I give a little donation and that's all I can do. Once in a week I can do something and I'll chant a few rounds every day. And the weekend, anyway, I'm hearing the Bhagavad Gita class, Sunday lecture. That's enough. That's all I can do. So I have decided that my Krishna consciousness will be around the periphery. In other words, my Krishna consciousness will move around my material life. But for a devotee, he and Krishna in the center and his material life moves around. That's the type of switching that a devotee does. Rukmini has done that. Rukmini will relate to when she comes for Kurukshetra, that eclipse, at that time, Draupadi will meet her and all of the queens. And she wants to know, I want to know a lot more about Krishna and how you met him and how you got married to him. And please tell me the story. It'll be an interesting story. It'll be a highly exciting story. It's simply like how you got to do this service. How did you become the wife of Krishna? Amazing. I like to know how fortunate you are. So each one of them relate their stories. And Rukmini talks again about how she got abducted by Krishna and about Shishupala and about all that happened, the dramatic performance. Then she adds, since then I have been a servant maid of the Lord. All of them say that I am just a servant maid. I am a servant assisting him. I'm happy to sweep the floor. I'm happy to do any menial thing in Krishna's house as a servant maid. This is each one's expression. I am very sure that this is the goal of my life. I may be a princess from somewhere. I may be that, I may be this, but I've got Krishna. I've got Krishna consciousness. I've got this service. That is going to become the center of my life, and everything else will move around. So Rukmini Devi had decided that. And when she came and married Krishna, she decided Krishna will be the center of her life. Obviously, everything else will move around in a periphery. But Krishna was now suggesting, why don't you switch it? Why don't you actually, since you're so talented, so beautiful, so well-to-do, everything, why don't you actually get back? And after all, who am I? And what are you getting out of it? So when you make a material judgment of your spiritual situation, that's really the worst thing to do. And sometimes you tend to do that when you're spiritually very weak. And people may do it to you. All around you, people may be saying that. Your wife may be saying that if she's not very inclined to devotional service. Your parents may be saying it. Why are you wasting your time like this? Instead, you could have done this. Instead, you could have done that. You could have done that business and made this money. Why are you just going to the temple? Why are you giving donation to the temple? Why are you taking part in the management? Why are you spending your time there? Often, these questions are around us. So what Krishna is telling Rukmini is not something that we don't hear. We hear it all the time. We hear it all the time. In this material world, babbling voices of people are all talking the same thing. That, enjoy life, take it, on your go and, live it out. Let's do this, let's do that. But all of them fail, actually. It's just a huge illusion. And many of them know it as they advance and mature, right? So Krishna's proposal to Rukmini is the proposal that Maya makes to us constantly. And the more you are realized in Krishna consciousness, the finer the Maya becomes. Maya knows everything about you and your choices. And it will make proposals according to those choices. And it is very subtle. Sometimes you don't even know. So this is a very subtle proposal of Krishna to Rukmini, to the extent of saying, I don't mind if you want to even accept another husband. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. You be happy. I see that you're not happy. Compare this with what Kardamuni and Devahuti did. Devahuti completely surrendered herself, a princess. And she comes to the forest and performs austerities, becomes so thin, her hair and all is almost falling off, and her beauty is completely crumbled and everything is gone. Looking at her like that, Kardamuni said and thought, what a wonderful devotee she is. How dedicated to me she is. I am obliged to do something very important for her because of her service. She has completely dedicated herself. And then Kardamuni calls upon his wife and says, I'm very pleased with your service. What I can do for you. And she reveals her heart. I want children. So Kapila is one. And Kardamuni said, I'll do it in a big bombastic way, in full style I'll do it. Because you deserve it. For your dedication, for your sincerity and everything. Rukmini was one of those very sincere personalities, completely dedicated to Krishna. And to watch Krishna make this proposal was really a shock, right? But she didn't show it, right? Atatamano anurupam vai. We already read that. 1 minute. Yeah. Shukadeva Goswami said Rukmini had thought herself especially beloved by Lord. 1 minute. Shri Shukavacha yetavad uktva bhagavan atmanam vallabhamiva manyamanam avishleshat tattarpagna uparamat. Shukadeva Goswami said Rukmini had thought herself especially beloved by the Lord because he never left her company. By saying these things to her, he vanquished her pride and then he stopped speaking. Right? So, itri trilokesha patestadatmanah priyasya tevi ashruta purvam apriyam Ashrutya bhita jatave patus chintam durantam rudati jagamaha. Goddess Rukmini had never before heard such unpleasantries from her beloved, the Lord of universal rulers, and she became frightened. A tremor arose in her heart, and in terrible anxiety she began to cry. Pada sujatena nakaruna shriya bhuvam likanti ashubhir anjasasitai asinchati kunkuma rushitau sthanau tasthavo adhomukhi atidhukkaruddhavak. With her tender foot, effulgent with the reddish glow of her nails, she scratched the ground, and tears darkened by her eye makeup sprinkled her kunkuma reddened breasts. There she stood, face downward, her voice choked up by extreme sorrow. Tasyaha sudukha bhaya shoka vinashta bhutte hastat shlatat balayado vyajanam papata tehascha viklavadhya sahasaiva muhyan rambhena vayu vihato parivikirya kleshan. Rukmini's mind was overwhelmed with unhappiness, fear, and grief. Her bangle slipped from her hands, and her fan fell to the ground. In her bewilderment, she suddenly fainted. Her hair scattering all about her body fell to the ground like a plantain tree blown over by the wind. Purport: shocked by Lord Krishna's words, Rukmini could not understand that the Lord was only teasing, and thus she displayed these ecstatic symptoms of grief. But Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti characterizes as sattvic ecstasies ranging from becoming stunned to disillusion. So, now comes Rukmini's response. So, Krishna thought he is teasing. But Rukmini is hearing very carefully. She is completely surrendered to the Lord. And she's in a completely different mood of service. And when Krishna said this, she became completely shocked. And she was so frightened. And she couldn't help her tears and her emotion that the fan slipped from her hands, everything slipped, and she fell down and fainted. So look at the effect what Krishna said had on Rukmini. It had the opposite effect of what he thought. In other words, it is not that Krishna is planning it and expecting a particular type of response like he does in the material world in his pastimes. Here, he is having a transcendental relationship and a pastime. And it has got a different effect, not the desired effect. Right? He thought she will answer back also, yeah, I know, I shouldn't have done a mistake, married a cowherd boy, what to do? He doesn't have any wealth and he's like this, he's like that. But, somehow I like him. I don't care about wealth, I don't care about this thing. But he should have answered so many things. But like I said, she's not like, Jambavati's daughter. That is Satyabhama. She is different. I'm sorry, she's not like Jambavan's daughter. Sorry, Jambavan's daughter or Jambavati. She's not like Satrajit's daughter. That is Satyabhama. She is Rukmini. Very cultured, very beautiful, very talented, brought up in a very wonderful way. And having mixed with many people of high class. She couldn't take this rough cowherd boy statement. And she collapsed. You can also see that sometimes when we use conversation, when in conversation we use certain tactics or strategies, it may not fall in the right place. Especially there is cultural differences. When I go to the Western world, I'm very careful what I'm saying, because many things don't carry the same type of connotation like it does in India. Things are very different. And what you may say in certain ways is wrong and unacceptable or politically incorrect. You have to be politically correct so you understand that culture and speak accordingly. You may make a mistake if you're from a different culture. So here it looks like there's a cultural difference, apparently, but it's a very transcendental pastime. Rukmini is very high class, and when Krishna proposes like this in a different class, she gets shocked and frightened and falls down fainted. Because she has accepted Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as my master. You are everything to me. You are my husband, you are God, you are worshipable one for me. Everything together. I don't know anybody else but you. Mat prana natastu saevana paraha. I don't know anybody else. You can do what you want with me. So now you're deciding to behave with me like this and telling me go get married to somebody else. I am totally shocked. Totally shocked. In fact, if you want, you can conclude. If Rukmini could have concluded, yeah, what I thought is true. I mean, what you say is true because you're so brash, you're so uncouth and uncultured that you dare say these things to me. Because you're from that type of a background, you're saying these things to me. No. She knew that Krishna is, she didn't know at that point of time, but she knows later when Krishna explained to her, I'm sorry it fell in the wrong place. I never expected this will happen to you. So that portion of it is very interesting. Seeing that is Tad Drishtva Bhagavan Krishna Priyayaha Prema Bandhanam Hasya Praudhim Ajanantya Karunahaso Anvakam Pata. Seeing that his beloved was so bound to him in love that she could not understand the full meaning of his teasing, merciful Lord Krishna felt compassion for her. Very nice. Paryankat avaruhayashu tam utthapya chaturbujah keshan samuhya tadvaktram pramrajat padmapanina. Lord quickly got down from the bed. Manifesting 4 arms, he picked her up, gathered her hair, and caressed her face with his lotus hand. Immediately manifested 4 hands. You can see that. Pramrijyashrukale netre stanau chopahatau sucha aslesya bahuna rajan ananya vishayam sati santvayam asa santvagnyah kripaya kripanam prabhu hasya praudhi brahmachittam atat arham satam gatihi. Wiping her tear-filled eyes and her breasts, which were stained by tears of grief, the Supreme Lord, the goal of his devotees, embraced his chaste wife, who desired nothing but him, O king. Expert in the art of pacification, Sri Krishna tenderly consoled the pitiable Rukmini, whose mind was bewildered by his clever joking and who did not deserve to suffer so. Right? Supreme Lord said, Oh, Vaidarbhi, do not be displeased with me. I know that you are fully devoted to me. I only speak in jest, dear lady, because I wanted to hear what you would say. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ma Vaidarbhi Asuyeta Jane Twamat Parayanam Twadvachaha Shrotu Kamena Shevalaya Charitam Angane. So, Krishna is seeking pardon. Krishna is saying, I'm very, very sorry. I did not know that you took it so seriously. I just wanted to have some fun with you. I wanted to see what you will say in response, and I could have a little exchange with you. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Lord Krishna spoke the present verse because he thought that lovely Rukmini might be afraid he would again say something to disturb her, so that she might be angry at what he has done. Right? So, this is Krishna's response after Rukmini's response. Rukmini's response, obviously, she has taken everything very seriously. And Krishna's response was light-hearted teasing, which didn't work out in this situation. And the consolation that Krishna is giving, he immediately manifested 4 hands, took up Rukmini, caressed her face, removed her tears, brought her back to consciousness. And he said, "Oh, I never knew this will hurt you. I was just trying to joke with you. Obviously, these things are not true. I just wanted to see that you will get angry, and then, I would enjoy that beautiful countenance of yours, angry." In this way, Krishna had his own plan of how to deal with Rukmini in this particular pastime, but that doesn't work out. So can you imagine a pastime of the Lord that didn't work out the way he wanted? This is it. Normally, Krishna's Satya Sankalpa Shakti and Krishna's Vibhuti Shakti, like we saw in the Damodar Leela pastime, both these Shaktis entered the Lord. And when his mother was trying to tie him, they didn't permit tying him. Satya Sankalpa Shakti, Krishna desired, "No, I don't want her to tie me." So the Shaktis operate. Parashaya Shakti Vividhaiva Shuyate. He doesn't have to tell, "Oh, this department, please come here, do this." He does just desires, and his Shakti operates. So similarly there, what happened is Satya Sankalpa Shakti, Vibhuti Shakti got together, and they didn't allow the tying to happen. And then when Kripayasit Swabhandane, when Krishna took Kripa, mercy, on Yashoda, Drishtva Parishramam Krishna, after seeing her Parishrama, after seeing her hard work, and anxiety, and anger, and everything, Krishna thought, "My mother is so anxious and she's suffering. I gave her a tough time, I think. Enough, let her tie me. Let her tie me." So Krishna also is mischievous, and he wants to have a particular leela, and he does these things. So here also he's doing it, but it's not happening the way he wants it to happen. It's happening in a different way. And according to that, his pastime also unfold in a different way. So we'll discuss that more tomorrow. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.